Thank you very much. I might just move over here, because then Can you manage the light? Okay, thank you very much. Maybe I should just give a little introduction about myself, because I'm not here talking on behalf of the Commission, luckily for you. But I'm here more in my capacity as having directed 3 films based on dance dramas written by Rabindranath Tagore. Now, one thing we realize is that Rabindranath Tagore is very well known around the world as a poet and a philosopher, but many other things are not so well known about him. And one of these actually is his environmental thinking. And so I was very happy to be invited this evening to talk about this aspect of Tagore's philosophy. What I would like to begin with is a little excerpt from one of the 3 films which we've made. It's a short clip, but you'll understand its relevance once I begin. It is from a dance drama called John Dalika. And the story essentially is about a girl who is an untouchable. And so this scene occurs fairly close to the beginning of the film. It's one where she has realized that nobody really wants to have anything to do with her in the village, and also that they will prevent anybody else from having anything to do with her. So she has just had a very tearful scene with her mother saying, "Why have I been born?" basically. And then her mother has not shown an awful lot of sympathy and said, "You need to go and get some water from the well." So this scene is where she is going to get some water from the well, and somebody approaches her, who is a Buddhist monk. Anyhow, I leave you to the scene. Well, I should mention that the girl's name, according to the script of this dance drama, is Prakriti. And Prakriti means nature. And although Tagore used this particular story to campaign against the caste system, which was, he wrote this in 1936, it was not, it was something which he was able to do really because he treated, I mean, this scene is quite central to the story. So this scene changes her life because for the first time somebody treats her as a human being, and the motivation is water. And water is something which is the same to every human being. And so this is, I think, the parallel that that Tagore was drawing here. Also because the monk, as I don't know if you were able to see right at the far back, so I should explain a little bit. The monk was essentially saying that, please give me water, because the girl was very reluctant to do so, because every time that anybody had asked her for anything, then she was told that nobody should touch anything that she would give them. So this was why when he initially asked for water, then she said, well, I'm actually an untouchable, or the daughter of an untouchable, and therefore I shouldn't give you anything. And he essentially comes back and says, well, you're just as much of a human as I am. And this is essentially the message that Tagore was giving. And so this type of dependence relationship is something which overrides everything and applies to everyone and overrides the caste system. But perhaps I should go back a little bit to 1901, which was when Tagore founded his university at Shantiniketan. And Shantiniketan was, when he had the idea of setting up a university there, quite a barren area. It still gives the impression of being pretty desert-like, but you see at least now there are lots of trees. And what has happened after he had the idea of starting the university was that a dam was created, and that provided the water supply there, and this is how the trees come to be there. But you can see that it's a very clay soil, and it gets quite hot, especially these days with climate change. It gets to be about 50 degrees during the summer. But one thing which he did was to ensure that the students who went to his university had a very close association with nature. So here you see that the classrooms, the classes are given outdoors. I mean, there are indoor classrooms, of course, but when possible, then the children sit within these circles, and the teacher sits on the right on the pedestal. And this was really very much part of Tagore's educational philosophy, so that nature was really part and parcel of the education that he was giving the children who went there, so that they developed an understanding for nature and a respect for nature, which perhaps these days we tend to omit when we go through our education systems. This is not to say that Tagore had an entirely dry existence. He also spent a lot of his time at Shilaidaho, which is now in Bangladesh. And what he was doing there was to live on a houseboat. And he was managing the estates of his family there since about 1890, actually. And it was where he went to write some of the poems which formed the Gitanjali collection, for which he later won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913. on a trip to Japan, this was one of the first times where he actually specifically wrote about the damage that man was doing to the environment. So 1916 is probably about 30 years before people in the West started thinking about the environment. So in this particular trip, on the way there, then he noticed that there was some oil on the water left by a passing ferry. And this was what it made him think, that man no longer respects the environment as it once did, and is more into exploiting nature and the environment. So this was something which he wrote very strongly about, but this is the first time that you see this in writing. Move forward again to 1926, when Tagore was on a tour of Europe, and he was in Budapest when he was taken ill. And at Balatonfüred, which is on the shore of Lake Balaton, there was a very famous heart hospital. And so various people suggested that he should go there to recover. And he spent some weeks there, but he apparently made a deep impression on Hungary, because now if you mention Tagore to any Hungarian, then they know about Tagore. Not necessarily for all the right reasons, but more because apparently it's his name is something of a challenge for anybody to test to see if they are drunk or not. But assuming you pass, then what he did in Balatonfüred was to plant a tree. And the simple act of planting a tree is something which has subsequently been celebrated by many Nobel laureates who visited Balatonfüred and to follow in his footsteps. And also a number of eminent Indian politicians have also been there. So this entire promenade is named after Tagore, Tagore Setani. And the poem that he wrote for the occasion is that when I am no longer on this earth, my tree, let the ever-renowned leaves of thy spring murmur to the wayfarer, the poet did love while he lived. And that started another tradition, which back in Shantiniketan it's still celebrated to this day, which is a ceremony called Brikkhoropon. It's the planting of a tree. And there's a ceremony with there's a ceremonial procession with dance, and they take the tree, and you'll see that an umbrella is a key part of the ceremony, but the purpose of the umbrella is a bit different to the purpose of the umbrella here. It's actually to celebrate the start of the rainy season, and the umbrella there is actually to shade the tree from the sun. So maybe what I can do is to end with a little, with some of the poems. Well, there's a reading which is given during this ceremony, which begins, "Let your life's allowance be filled, O infant, live infinitely. Let life's gifts give you a breeze full of nectar. O infant tree, your soft but bright leaves, with all the light, let it save in its reservoir, let it save its satisfied valor." So this poem goes quite goes on for some time, so I won't read you the entire poem now, but you can see for yourself. And after the reading, then there is a song, which is translated roughly as follows: "O come, come, come to our yard, young plant guests, accompanying our compassionate friendship of humankind, come to our rooms, with green sinuous gestures, with impatient songs, bring to our doors in branches joyous life and sounds. In your fresh leaves, let the light of the sunlight dance. Give the gift of your breeze with murmuring songs. In the rain of Shravana, let my blessings touch you. On your head, let heavenly rain fall. Well, I hope that gives you something to think about and inspires you sufficiently for tomorrow's conference and your discussions. And I wish you all the very best of luck with all of those. Thank you very much.